You're in the 06010. Focus. Fantasy Focus.
What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football presented by Wingstop alongside Stephania Bell and Fields Yates. My name is Daniel Dopp. Excited to be here with Week 17 mostly in the books, my friends. Excuse me. I'm coming back from being a little bit sick. Getting through some stuff here. Yeah. I appreciate you guys working with me. Thank you very much. I missed fantasy football now on Sunday. I wanted to be safe because I knew that our friend, Tyler Fulgham, has a newborn on the way soon. And
very soon.
So thoughtful.
I wanted to make sure that I would feel terrible if I got a dad sick, like right when his baby is born. So I wanted to stay away.
It's thoughtful of you. It's also like, hey, Tyler, welcome to fatherhood. Like, you're just going to be just basically inhaling bad germs for the next however many years.
Yes.
But very thoughtful of you. Great to have you back. Good to see you rocking the team. And they make Barry Sanders jerseys in this
They sure do.
version.
This was actually a Christmas gift from my friends in the band Emery. They sent me this. Yeah, they're unbelievable. I love those dudes. My favorite band, my favorite dudes. So being able to get, and two of them, I mean, one of them is a Packers fan, one of them is a Bears fan. So I think it probably hurt to have to buy this.
Yes.
But that's how deep the friendship is. So it meant a lot to me.
Just for the record, we'll get to football in 15 seconds. For somebody to stake their claim as your favorite band, that's incredible. Like, literally every band. This is like Stephania proclaiming her favorite wine.
Yes, that is exactly.
You don't just say that.
Yes.
Like, you don't just say it like, like I love Fall Out Boy. Like, they're like top 500 for you, right?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
They'll be in there. They'll be in there.
I'm a big Nine Inch Nails fan, Like, anyways, the point is that, like, shout out to Emery for that very prestigious nod right there.
Of course.
Do you have a favorite bottle of wine, or is that
we'll
the
save
next
that
one?
for next
Dancing
year.
Crow Vineyard.
The next one.
Oh, they're way up there.
Maybe way up there, yeah. But we're going to have a very fun show today. We're going to look through a bunch of the stuff that happened here in Week 17, the good and the bad. But first and foremost, a quick shout out to our friends over at Trophy Smack. Head to TrophySmack.com. Use the promo code FOCUS10 to be able to get something for your league. You need a belt, you need a chain, you need whatever you need for your league. Trophy Smack has got it to be able to help you crown your champion, which should be happening here pretty quickly, my friends.
Yeah, let's go.
So let's dive into all of this. It's going to be very fun. Please hang out in the chat with us today as well. We're hoping to take a couple of mailbag questions, or at least hear if you've got something that you need to vent or
Monday
get
Night
off your
Miracles,
chest. That's
Monday
right.
Night Miracles. What do you need? I'm dying to hear.
Would love to know.
No, but there was never a more important Monday Night Miracle than in Week 17.
I'll tell you what.
Week.
If you need a Monday Night Miracle, this game is going to be so much fun potentially to watch.
Between last night and tonight.
Yeah, so let's dive into all the good stuff. We will get to that Monday Night Football game. But first, with our biggest winners and losers of the week. Field, I'm going to start with you. Give me your big winner.
You guys think 5 passing touchdowns is good?
I do think it's good.
I really like it when it's for one team in particular.
Yes. Well, so this is a different player that had 5 touchdowns.
Oh, I know, because you said 5 passing.
Yes, exactly.
That's how I knew.
So do you think 5 passing touchdowns is good when you don't play from like the 10-minute mark in the third quarter on?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that would be what Drake May did yesterday, guys. Is Drake May finishes yesterday with 5 passing touchdowns, just over 32 fantasy points. Until the game last night, he was the highest scoring quarterback on the board. He actually added 22 rushing yards as well. Drake May was ridiculous, guys. He had 2 incompletions in that game.
I know.
Yeah.
One of them was a flat
thing
drop.
That got me. 90% completion rate.
Unreal.
90%. Like, that does not happen.
Yeah, well, apparently it does if you're Drake May.
That's right.
Drake May on pace to lead the NFL in completion percentage. He had the highest single game QBR since ESPN started recording that metric back in 2006, 99.8. It was flawless. The Jets are bootiest of cheeks. Like, they are awful. It is such a disaster watching them right now. They are on to 2026, and I get it. You got to trust the process there. I don't care who you're playing against, though. 99.8 QBR. Drake May, if you stop your season now, which many leagues do conclude their season after Week 17, he finishes as QB2 for the year behind only Josh Allen, who is largely amazing. So Drake May, shout out to you. Big dubs for everybody that started Drake May.
I just feel like he's playing so beyond his years. It's just unreal, when it's seeing some of these younger quarterbacks shine like that. But for him, he's so young at the position, and yet he plays with this wisdom, the way he sees the field. His poise is probably the thing that strikes me the most. I mean, you can look at all the accolades, but it's his poise. He doesn't get rattled. He is patient. It's a sight to behold.
It probably, with Matthew Stafford, they'll probably split. One of them will be first team All-Pro. One will be the second team All-Pro. And then I think Matthew Stafford probably will win MVP, but it'll be a very...
Let's see what happens tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I guess if Stafford fumbles each of the next
how that
two
is
games,
with the judges, like last impression matters. It's hard to beat 90% completion rate and almost perfection from a quarterback during championships.
Yeah, so he was amazing, was Drake May. He has a chance at the very least for MVP. Stephania, who was your winner of the day?
Well, I mean, when you're a 32-year-old running back and you can post 45.6 fantasy points, wow, the highest score of week 17, tied for the fourth highest score of the season among these running backs. He is unbelievable. I think the thing, Derrick Henry in that performance, it was all Derrick Henry, right? Lamar Jackson's injured. He doesn't play. Tyler Huntley essentially manages the game from the quarterback position, but the workload all went to Derrick Henry. You know it's him. You know he's coming, and yet you can't stop him. And I think of all the things that were impressive in that game, what was most impressive to me was that he rips off this explosive touchdown at the end of the game. After he's done all this work, he's still barreling down the field. 68.4 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Leads everyone with that many fantasy points the last 2 weeks. You know his second most? Just for fun, I just want to throw that in there.
Who? Christian McCaffrey?
This guy named Brock Purdy.
Oh, okay. Brock Purdy.
I know, which it does surprise you, right? But in the last 2 weeks, he's been pretty remarkable still. Not only did he do that, he may have single-handedly won you your fantasy football championship. So we really love the players who show up in week 17 because I will tell you, I think there were more that didn't show up in week 17 of all the guys who've been your rock stars all season long. Derrick Henry, he's had some weeks where it's been a little bit rough, but he came through when you needed him in both week 16 and week 17.
I love that. And he has been awesome. I used him in a championship in which I believe I'm going to beat Tristan H. Cockcroft in a league that you and I are
in. It should be Tristan Yu.
That's right. Unhappy. That's right. That's a good one. Tristan Yu Cockcroft. But yeah, he absolutely carried fantasy managers because if you had any duds, and there were a handful of them, which we will get to, Stephania, he helped mitigate some of that with this unbelievable performance.
He was awesome.
For me, I just want to give all the flowers to what was one of the best tight end seasons that we have ever seen in the NFL. Trey McBride was unbelievable. This week, set the NFL record for most receptions in a season by a tight end. Unreal. This week had 10 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown, 23.6 fantasy points. That's tight end one on the week. And just to put a few more numbers behind it, not like we need to because we've been saying it for the entirety of the season, his volume was so unmatched. It wasn't even close. He had 12 games with 9 or more targets. The next closest tight end was Kyle Pitts and Dalton Schultz with 5 games of 9 or more targets.
Beautiful.
He was clearly the number one guy. 10 games with 15 or more fantasy points. The dude was just unbelievable. If you had him at the tight end spot, and assuming that you survived last week, because last week was the dud, unfortunately, it didn't feel great. But he has been unbelievable, and he deserves everything. The dude was just awesome.
Set a record. Yesterday.
Set the record for all of that stuff. I also want to give a quick shout out to Michael Wilson because if you started Michael Wilson, we had talked back and forth. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to play, but I saw on Fantasy Football Now, even though I wasn't there, I was watching, he was going to be limited.
That.
So 5 for 89 and a touchdown. He turned it on at the right time. Since week 11, that big week 11 breakout, he had the most targets and targets per game. He had the most receptions amongst wide receivers. He was second in receiving yards, second in receiving touchdowns, second in total points, and second in points per game at the wide receiver position. Michael Wilson, who you grabbed off the waiver wire in the middle of the season and used here for your big playoff push. The dude, even though it was only 19.9 fantasy points, both of these dudes have been unbelievable for this stretch for the Cardinals.
I had a thought. I was thinking about this last night. It's really important. I hope the Cardinals are listening when I say this. Their kicker is named Chad Ryland. I'm not sure who their long snapper or their punter is, but I think they should make each of those 3 guys the first ever $30 million per year kicker, $30 million per year long snapper, and $30 million per year punter for this reason.
Okay.
I want them to take all of their salary cap space and use it on those 3 guys so they have 0 resources to pay their defense at all.
Yes.
Because we want this god-awful defense to come back next year, just as it was this year. Because garbage time was alive and well in Arizona this season.
Beautiful thing.
Trey McBride had a quiet game until the last drive of the game, which is pure garbage time. They were down 37-7. You mentioned he finished the day with 10 catches.
10 for 76 and a touchdown.
Okay, and a touchdown. Prior to that drive, he was at 6 catches for 44 yards.
That's crazy.
A last-minute drive with nothing on the line.
And you're
It's
down
a
by 30.
fantasy championship.
Yes.
And Trey McBride, on that final drive alone, gets 13.2 points. God, I love garbage time. Thank you very much.
That is
They
also
might have to keep Jacoby Brissett in
Yes.
the position because he has been delivering. I mean, all those fantasy points were courtesy of Jacoby Brissett passing the ball a ridiculous amount. I mean, every time we'd be like, you really throw that many passes in a game?
Yeah.
And he seemed to exceed it week after week. And by the way, yesterday on Fantasy Football Now, we talked about, I mentioned it somewhere, but I just wondered if you guys had heard Trey McBride at the locker during the week talking about how disappointed he was in himself for week 16. Like, it was not what he was accustomed to delivering. Like he, you know that meme that's like the Michael Jordan where he's like, and I took that personally. I felt like that was Trey McBride. Like, that's not going to happen twice. And he went out and put that thing into existence. So good for him.
Shout out to Trey McBride. My loser of the weekend was a Saturday night disappointment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to acknowledge that this is a player who's playing through a ton of pain. And the Packers are going to be mindful of his snaps. That being said, if you are following along during the week and you see that Josh Jacobs practiced every day last week and he's off the injury report, I don't think you really have a choice here, right? Like, you play the guy or you don't, and I think you have to play Josh Jacobs, the guy who, for the first 12 weeks of the season, was the steadiest running back, maybe in all of fantasy football, truly. Like, he was that good, and he dudded in a major way. It was a weird game. So, with 7:06 in the second quarter, the Packers had run 7 offensive plays.
Yep.
This was a game in which the Ravens were grinding drives out on the ground, and the Packers on their first drive, it was like 3 passes by Malik Willis for 80 yards and a touchdown. So it was almost everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Josh Jacobs. They were playing Chris Brooks. They were playing Emmanuel Wilson when they were down in this game. Malik Willis had 2 rushing touchdowns, so 1.3 fantasy points. No bueno.
Bummer. No, you know what sucks too is if you were like, you know what, I'm going to fade Josh Jacobs. I'll play Emmanuel Wilson because of how he looked. Emmanuel Wilson was also bad.
Yes.
3.4 fantasy points. None of the running backs were good.
Malik Willis was the number 1 running back. It's basically how
right.
it worked out. I actually wrote about Josh Jacobs on Saturday, and I put all of these things on. I was like, despite the fact that he was off the injury report, and despite the fact that he was out there every day, you know, going into this game, he is not 100% healthy. You know that they already have a playoff spot. It would make sense that they limit him. Like, I was nervous, but the question at the end was, it's a very difficult player to bench.
Yeah.
You can know all those things going in. I don't fault anyone for starting him because you're like, well, there's been weeks where he didn't actually play. And in my mind, I was trying to go through the rationale of what it was that would allow him to play in that game, knowing, if you listen to his words during the week, he said, every time I go out there, I take 1 or 2 hits to that knee, and basically it swells up and it gets stiff. I'm going, look, they know they're going to the playoffs. They have to get him healthy for that. Why are they putting him out here? And I thought, it's going through the routine. It's him wanting to be out there because in week 18, I bet you they're not going to play him. And they didn't want it to be 2 weeks of not playing him at all. But he probably went out there, dipped his toe in the pool, was like, nope, too cold, not going to do too much today. And unfortunately for fantasy managers,
It really sunk
that
you.
was a tough thing to experience. But there were some signs it wasn't going to be great. It just, you never know. Always dangerous. He plays through a lot.
I think that's part of the reason why you would have started Josh Jacobs is because you know he is the kind of guy that will play through stuff, and you just hope that he was going to gut it out and give you that grindy Josh Jacobs performance.
But he could have gone for, 17 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. He would have been like, all right, how can that's almost 14 fantasy points. You live with that. It's not perfect.
100%.
Anyways, Josh Jacobs, a tough
one
finish to the fantasy football season. Who's your loser?
Yeah. Mine is all the fantasy managers who started Kenneth Walker III.
Ooh.
That was really tough because you started him after he was running back 6 in week 16, only for him to be running back 26 this week because it was Zach Charbonnet's time to shine. Instead, he was RB4 on the week. Only the second 100-yard game in his career for Zach Charbonnet, but boy, you were excited if you saw Kenneth Walker III in week 16, and then what a dud yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like 98% sad that fantasy football seasons are mostly over. The 2% of me that's not sad is occupied by things like the Seahawks back.
Yes, I knew exactly as you started to say that. I knew where you were going.
Like, oh wow, I'm going to start Zach Charbonnet and get 26 points. Oh, actually, no. I'm going to start Zach Charbonnet and get 2.6 points.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you think you have it figured out, you get the exact opposite. So
they're hoping that they do that to their real live opponents. Only, it's hard to argue. Nobody can get mad at Seattle because they're crushing it in real life. Oh,
yeah.
Listen, as a 49er fan,
as an
I'll be
fan.
plenty mad at them next week. But the point is, it's hard to argue with success, right? So Seahawks have things that are working for them, but they are not working for fantasy managers. So note to the Seahawks, we'd like you to take that into consideration next year. And please organize your backfield.
Yeah. I got one other one, but I didn't bring a loser to the table because I thought there were enough bad performances that I wanted to talk about another winner, if you guys don't mind.
Wow, bending the rules. That's something I would do.
But you know what?
That is something you would
You're
do.
also the positive guy.
Well, part of this is, Field, you had a great statement. It made me feel really good earlier this year. You're not wrong. You were just early.
Never wrong, only early.
Chase Brown had back-to-back monster weeks.
I had him as a winner.
Monster weeks.
He was my next winner.
32.9 fantasy points in the semifinals, 103 total yards, 4 catches, and 3 touchdowns. Here in the finals, 29.1 fantasy points, 141 total yards, plus 3 catches and 2 touchdowns since week 8 of the season.
It's a tale of two halves, really.
Chase Brown has not scored fewer than 15 points in a single game since week 8.
Seems good.
That is unbelievable. 9 straight games, 7 of those 9 games, he had over 18 fantasy points. Only Derrick Henry, helped by that massive 45-point game he just had more points during the fantasy playoffs at the running back position than Chase Brown. So the dude was just unbelievable. First half made you feel real nervous, especially if you were planting your flag on him in the preseason.
Yeah.
But he definitely came on for the second half. The dude was unbelievable down the stretch. I don't know what else to say.
Here's one of those random fantasy stats. You know, there's so many things we look at the end of the year, and I basically just ask the people who crunch all those numbers I would like to know how many people dumped Chase Brown before, only to watch him like excel for somebody else's team.
Yep.
Because like I said, it was a tale of two halves. In the first half, you were like, why did I believe in this? This is not happening. He's not getting the work in the passing game that we thought he would. And then Joe Burrow's hurt and all of the problems.
Yeah.
And then the second half, it was like there was a new guy.
Yes, there was.
There was a new guy.
There was a new guy. It was awesome. I will sign up for 15 or more fantasy points in 9 straight games any day of the week. It was an unbelievable second half of the season for him.
Shout out to Chase Brown. Should we get into injuries?
Injuries. Yeah, let's dive into a couple of quick injuries here.
Yeah, there's just really 2 I wanted to talk about now because these are guys who have come on so strong in this late in the season, and it's just so disappointing to see them both go down with injury. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end, comes in on a weird thing, cropped up on Friday, listed on the practice report with a groin injury. But then we heard,
nice job,
nice throwback
Thanks,
reference there. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Anyway, he shows up and it was like, no, it's not serious. He's going to be able to play. And we're like, great. And it looked like he was fine, but aggravates that groin injury in the course of scoring the touchdown, and then did not return. Scheduled for an MRI today. So we will stay tuned. But that was really that's what capped his fantasy. It looked like he was headed for a huge day, but then couldn't come back after that injury.
I love Harold Fannin. We'll talk about him more as we talk about whether he deserves an accolade at the end of the season for a potential hardware, maybe for some rookie stuff. But he has been unbelievable this year. Hopefully he can get better and be back for not week 18, but for fantasy managers in 2026.
Yeah, and the other one,
I was going to say, how about the other guy? Because I think it happened, unfortunately, like basically on the final play of the game.
It was on the final play of the game. If you stayed up to watch Sunday Night Football, it was Luther Burden who had a fantastic game. I mean, it really just showcased all of the talent that you had heard about. I mean, he was so much of the Bears' offense last night, but the final play of the game, and these are the things where the medical part of me kicks in because I see the medical staff run to the player, and meanwhile there's chaos on the field because the game is over. It just happened. There's people running around. It's so hard for them to do their job, and it just reminds you how they lock in on the player. They kind of went to him. I wasn't sure if he had a knee injury or what might have happened. Reports this morning that he had a quad injury. Adam Schefter reporting that it's, quote, not serious, but here's what I will tell you. If you're a wide receiver and you injure your quad, which is everything you do to run and jump and decelerate, your quad very important for that, this could be serious for the Bears, even if it's not serious like season ending. You know, it's threatening to them. Here they are in the postseason. You saw what a talent he was yesterday. It didn't look good at the time. Now, maybe it's one of those where it's more of a scare for the player and he makes a really rapid progression. But stay tuned if you're a Bears fan. Might mean at least week 18 is in question, if not a little bit further.
The Bears with a win or an Eagles loss in week 18 would clinch the number 2 seed in the NFC. What a game that was last night.
Yeah.
Well, Luther Burden is back in
He
a
was
jiffy.
unbelievable.
He looks every
So
bit the
good.
part of a superstar wide receiver. You think about all the ways he's gotten the job done this year, vertical stuff, run after catch stuff. He is amazing.
8 for 131 and a touchdown for 27.8 fantasy points. That's wide receiver 1 on the week with Monday Night Football left.
Wow.
Unbelievable. He is the man. Yep.
By the way, while we go into studs and duds, did you know that his other wide receiver, DJ Moore, the one that you probably started, only scored like 1.7 fantasy
That would be
points?
correct. He's
That's
part of the
not
duds
great.
list
Yes,
for a
he is.
reason. Go ahead and figure that offense out, or that TJ Moore season out. He has had some big games and he has had some notable clunkers and moments where you think he is going to go off. Let's get to studs and duds.
Yeah, let's talk about the other quarterback that had 5 touchdowns.
I mean, we really could have. So just to peel back the curtain a little bit here, we do our note throughout the day on Sundays.
Yep.
And if this game had been played at 1 o'clock, I
Oh,
think
man.
one of us would have staked Brock
Absolutely.
Purdy. Staked our claim
Do
to
you
Brock
think
Purdy as
one
the
of us
winner.
would have?
Yeah.
Stephania would have. Last night, last game of the week, we had kind of already put our winners and losers not quite into stone, but at least into like,
Number 2 pencil.
there we go, number 2 pencil. Yes. Brock Purdy was ridiculous.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just gonna
Do it.
look at the smile. I can't help myself. Right? I am just watching him. Just watch. Remember, this is a kid who had a foot injury that it was like some people, not the 49ers to be
Yep.
clear, but some people are like, Mac Jones is doing so well. Are you sure that Brock Purdy comes back? And he comes back a little bit of rust in that first game, as one might expect after missing significant amount of time. But he is in his bag right now. I mean, he is feeling it. He is seeing the field perfectly. A couple of the plays last night, I was really happy. I heard Dan Orlovsky talking about it this morning about when Brock Purdy's throwing the ball, the Juwan Jennings catch, if you missed it, was a deep ball down the field, like layered over the top of the defense here, and he drops it right into him. And he's like, he couldn't see Juwan Jennings at the time he threw the ball. So the timing is there. He scrambled. He looked a little Patrick Mahomes-esque,
Yeah.
slithering away from defenders and scrambling. He finds Kyle Juszczyk in the end zone
That
on
was
this
a
one play
beautiful
it was
play.
just unreal. And then he scores a rushing touchdown. He just looked like he had total control of the game. But more importantly, for all the fantasy managers out there, he delivered in fantasy points. I already told you he had the second most fantasy points in the last 2 weeks with 67.82. The 2 quarterbacks with the most fantasy points during the fantasy playoffs in the Super Bowl era are this year. Trevor Lawrence with 98.58
Yep.
and Brock Purdy with 94.02. He was quarterback 2 in week 16. I mean,
I have a question.
he's unbelievable.
Yeah. Would you like to, in his honor, hit the Purduggy right now?
Oh. Go ahead.
No, I can't
know
do
the
it. I know. Oh, I watch it, but he's so good at it. I don't want to embarrass
That's why it's the
myself.
Purduggy. It's not the Bell Duggy.
Oh. Can you teach me how to Dougie?
He does,
He does like a little, like,
yeah, he does a little-
he does a little.
That's on you
of
guys. I'm
that
gonna
to
let you
me,
do
you
that.
know.
Good.
But it's so cute because he practiced in the kitchen with his wife.
Stop.
Watching. Yeah, that's
Does he?
Because the guys were like, "You need to, celebrate a little," and he was like, "When the time is right, I'll break it out." And then
Stop.
he did the
That was
first
so
one,
cute.
and now it's like, did you see him yesterday?
Uh-huh.
The crowd.
He was having fun.
They played Inspired. Just a moment for Fred Warner, because I just can't say enough about him. We don't talk about him much in fantasy because he's the captain of the 49ers defense, had a horrible fracture, dislocation of his ankle, but is maybe going to be available for the playoffs. I just can't even, I'm holding out hope. It would be crazy, but if anybody could do it. But anyway, he led off, did the foghorn thing. If you've been to Levi's, foghorn, very San Francisco sound because of the fog, leading the group, was a part of the broadcast. And I felt like everyone who was there, who was an intro. Oh, by the way, Brock Purdy did that performance without his left tackle. Trent Williams left for the hamstring.
And without his tight end. Yes, I was waiting for that part.
Left tackle, kind of important.
Yes.
And Trent Williams, one of the best in the league, if not the best. And he goes out with a hamstring injury. George Kittle cheering on Jake Tonjes from sideline. I told you to start Jake Tonjes yesterday. I said he'd be a good fill-in. I think we were talking about tight ends to fill in yesterday. Jake Tonjes proved that he could step in previously when George Kittle was out. Anyway.
Brock Purdy.
I'm done now.
Brock Purdy, 36.9 fantasy points, just to put a number on it. He has had 3 straight games of the fantasy playoffs with at least 26 fantasy points for your squad. Unbelievable. Not the only 49er, though, that has been unbelievable for your squad because Christian McCaffrey, 28.1 fantasy points. It is his 12th game of 20 or more fantasy points this year. 12, 15 or more fantasy points in 15 of his 16 games. The dude is unbelievable. Who does he think he is? Chase Brown putting together a streak like that? I know you guys have my note because you have a bunch on there, so I had some notes on there. But CMC, obviously, if you took the shot, he has been unbelievable. Things don't change. The dude is just the king at the
number
running back
one
spot.
in fantasy points for 2025 with 404.9.
Unbelievable.
We have a show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week. So
we
today,
do.
Wednesday, and Friday. One of those shows will be dedicated to handing out awards, which will be Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey, no spoiler here, but is at least in the conversation for fantasy MVP.
Or comeback player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing I think that's so remarkable about him is everybody was worried. Like, can we trust Christian? You remember the conversation before the season began was like, what kind of fantasy draft capital are you willing to spend for Christian McCaffrey when you're coming off basically a lost season?
Yep.
And can he put up numbers that would make his pick worth it? I think he's more than answered.
Spoiler
that
alert,
question.
the answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is very much yes. Christian McCaffrey, amazing. You know who scored the most fantasy points amongst non-quarterbacks in the playoffs? Do you guys know?
Who?
Chris Olave.
What?
You've guessed that?
No, I would not have.
Chris
I wouldn't
Olave.
have if I hadn't seen it on my little note.
Saints receiver.
But yeah.
What a year for Chris Olave. Career high in catches with 100, receiving yards 1,169, 9 receiving touchdowns. Tyler Shuck has been awesome. The Saints have something in their rookie quarterback.
Sure
Seems like it.
So it's rare for a team who's 6-10 going into Week 18 to have some off the charts vibes, but that's the case in New Orleans. They get their 4th straight win yesterday. Olave, what a talent he is. What an incredible season this was for him. So shout out to Chris Olave, 25.9 fantasy points yesterday, 21.9 for Tyler Shuck.
Dude, and he's so fun to root for, especially coming back from all the things he's had to deal with.
Yes, I was going to say, he's another
So
one who last year was a tough, kind of a lost season in part for him because of the concussion history that he had. He visited, I think, with 4 different specialists before deciding to return to play football. I love that he tweeted yesterday, like, TSROTY or Shuck rookie, that whatever he said, but basically putting his quarterback out there. If you're a rookie quarterback, how great is it to have a receiver like that you can rely on? I hope that tandem stays together.
Field, on Friday of last week, you and I did a show remote, and we said if there's no Travion Henderson, you were like, how high is Ramondre Stevenson? Like, how high is too high?
Yeah.
The answer was there was still Travion Henderson, and you still should have started Ramondre Stevenson.
Dude, he was nails on
27.2 fantasy points. Didn't have as much work as Travion did.
He had 13 touches. He had 5 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown. And oh boy, that Jets defense.
Oh, that Jets defense.
Yeah, a long ways to go there in New York.
I'll tell you what, the Patriots had a running back score at least 17 fantasy points in every week for the last 3 weeks. Sometimes it was Travion Henderson. Sometimes it was Ramondre Stevenson. This is another one of those things, the 2% that I'm not going to miss about fantasy football, trying to figure out what the stinking Patriots are going to do with their backfield because I wanted more Travion Henderson, but Ramondre was unbelievable if you started him this week.
Seahawks 2.0.
Seahawks.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Very maddening.
So we talked about Chase Brown already. His teammates were also awesome yesterday. Joe Burrow north of 20 fantasy points. It actually felt like more because he was so dialed yesterday.
Yeah.
But
So
Jamar Chase
dominant.
did something he hasn't done since week 7. He found the end zone. Jamar Chase had
been that
gone
long?
9 straight games, maybe it was 7 straight games without a touchdown catch. He had
I didn't
2
realize it had
yesterday.
been that long.
7 catches, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns for Jamar Chase, 25 fantasy points. I think in retrospect, probably didn't live fully up to the number 1 overall pick billing, but it wasn't a total waste of a pick.
No, definitely not.
Here's another quarterback receiver tandem you probably didn't have on your leaderboard going into the weekend, but Jackson Dart and Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson's been a stud of late.
Awesome, yeah.
Jackson Dart, 25.08 fantasy points. Wan'Dale Robinson with 22.3. I think you might have thought Wan'Dale could get you that. I really haven't known what to expect from Jackson Dart because I feel like there's this tug of war going on with the way that Jackson Dart wants to play, the way the Giants want to protect him, and then trying to find somewhere in between where he's comfortable being himself and still not setting himself up for dangerous plays. I think there's still work to be done there, but I think yesterday kind of showed you what could be, some possibilities for the future.
I just want to say, good job by the Raiders understanding the assignment. No, I'm serious. Like, I know it's a little, we get chuckles out of it too, but like, guys, I cannot explain how detrimental it would have been for the Raiders to win that game.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, we can think about some of the years past where we've had inconsequential games won by teams in week 17 or 18, where it pushes them down the order 3, 4, 5 spots.
Didn't that happen with the Giants specifically in the Jaden Daniels draft, where they won because of Tommy Cutlets in week 18, and that pushed him down, and then the Commanders.
17.
Maybe that's what it was.
But yes. And then even last year, the Drew Luck game where they moved down.
Yep.
The Giants have found a way, and they win yesterday. Now, I actually don't think it's as detrimental for the Giants. They've got a quarterback. Yep. They've got a pass rusher who was awesome again yesterday in Abdul Carter. This team needs to win a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just do, period. End of statement. But the Raiders, who, if they lose next week, they have the number 1 pick. The Chiefs are not exactly a barn burner right now, but anyways, the Raiders, I know they would never say that out loud, and I know if you're part of the Raiders organization, it probably makes you want to scream a little bit when you hear that, but I do believe it's the truth. Like, I think I just made up a word right there too.
Squeam,
whatever. It's
squeamish. Scream.
Yeah. There we go.
That's what I put them together. That's what
Scream.
It was.
You makes me want to scream thinking about losing, but important for the long-term health of your franchise.
Do you think it's Mendoza? Is that where they go?
It's December 29th.
Got a lot of first drafts.
Never too early.
Yeah,
Never too early.
I would lean like 55-45 Fernando Mendoza over Dante Moore Jr.
Yeah.
I think that one of the errors of the ways of draft analysis is projecting like the opinion of a few to be the opinion of many.
Yep.
Because when it's the number 1 pick in the draft, and it's either going to be like, if the Raiders like Dante Moore Jr., it doesn't matter what the rest of the NFL thinks about Fernando Mendoza versus Dante Moore. It's what they think. So I would say the momentum probably right now in sort of going through the exercise and talking to people around the NFL is Mendoza has the higher grade on average, but it only takes one. Dante Moore, a very dynamic player as well.
What do you guys think about Wan'Dale Robinson next year? Because Malik Neighbors is going to come back. And by the way, first wide receiver since Detroit Lion favorite Richard Johnson, under 5'8", to have 1,000 yards receiving in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Wan'Dale's going to be a free agent, so it could depend on where he plays. Okay. The Giants are in position to draft the receiver early, and there are some really good ones this year. So
he put together some
probably be overlooked, but he had an awesome season this year. Amarian Hampton, I didn't think it looked great on Saturday afternoon for the Chargers offense.
It didn't. But that's why. That's why, because your eyes were telling you the truth, Fields.
Yes. But he found his way. He had, I think, 8 catches for 31 yards.
8 for 31, yep.
So he had 60 total yards, and he had 20 fantasy points. He fell into the end zone late. The Texans defense is nasty, but it was really the 8 catches. So 20 fantasy points for Amarian Hampton.
We'll take it.
Yeah, yes, we will. And Stephon Diggs, by the way, continue to do Stephon Diggs things. I saw him on the sideline. Dude, that guy looks so good every time he shows up to a stadium for what it's worth.
Oh, dude, he's got some of the best fashion in the NFL.
Honestly.
Tyrod Taylor is up there. Stephon Diggs is up there. Mac Hollins is probably the best.
Yeah, Mac Hollins is,
Cardi
because
B
he shows up without a shirt, right? No shirt, no shoes.
Cardi B might have a say in what Stephon Diggs is wearing. So,
That's true.
There are a lot of sharp dresses.
Stephon Diggs,
Devontae Smith is
6 for 101 and a touchdown for 22.1 fantasy points. And they didn't even need, again, they benched so many guys because they were up so early. So
he's thrown a lot of love towards Drake May. It was really cute. At the end, like all the credit to Drake May. But Stephon Diggs is going to make some people rethink the way you look at a wide receiver coming off an ACL injury.
And an older receiver, too. Like, he's 32, man.
Yep.
How many 32-year-old receivers are getting the job done right now. It's a very short list.
Yeah, I was just going to say probably not a lot.
Like Devontae Adams is close to that right now. Devontae is amazing. As we know, a lot of his game is predicated upon just like the goal line stuff, right? Cooper Kupp's really fallen off. Like how many plus 30 receivers right now are you like? They're anywhere close to as good. I'm not saying the numbers are maybe the same as Stephon Diggs but like Diggs just looks the part, man.
Looks great.
Now. I'm looking at some of the top receivers right now. See if I can find.
I also want to. He's another one I want to go back and look like at his total body of work because he's moved around a bit. He started to have this really good year with the Texans before he got hurt. Like that looked like he might have put up career numbers there.
Yep.
I was a bit surprised the Patriots were willing to take that chance. You know, with somebody coming off an ACL tear, and you don't know when that player is coming back. You can say all you want. He looks good, on track to start this. But until you're in the mix, you really don't know that the player's coming back. And then you don't know what quality of work is going to be when they first come back from an injury like that.
Count me as one of the people that was maybe not nervous, but I thought it was an interesting decision for the Patriots to say, we need to get our young quarterback a guy. And the guy that they decided to get was an older receiver coming off that injury, right? But that's who... not unfortunately, it very much worked out for this squad. I did not think it was going to be this. Start a little slow with Stephon, as it probably should have coming back from that, right? Return to performance and return to play is two different things.
That's the thing. They integrated him gradually because he got the work in the preseason. And I say that, to all those out there who don't think the preseason matters, it definitely does. And particularly for somebody coming back from injury like that. We see guys who there's like they don't do anything in the preseason, then they come back in week one, or they really haven't done much in training camp coming off an injury. They come back week one. And they use that first month and a half to acclimate. The Patriots had him involved in games, even though he wasn't the primary target, perhaps. And then as he got more and more confident and he was working well in the system, they just kept upping his volume. And clearly by the end, there's no doubt he's wide receiver one.
Yeah.
5 separate games with over 100 receiving yards for him. I just did a quick look. He is the only player over the age of 30, so 31 or older, in the top 25 of receiving yardage leaders this season.
Wow.
So, some of the other names that are kind of in that same bracket, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams. Like I think I would argue, like, if you're just trying to line up and, like, you need a receiver to do everything you ask a receiver to do, I think he's probably the best equipped of those 31-plus receivers.
Dude.
But anyways, he was great yesterday. And last stud for us, Christian Watson, who was money for the Packers on Saturday night. He was... along with Malik Willis, the two most impactful fantasy players.
Another guy coming off a major injury, a guy who we thought might not even play at all this season. And again, just a shout out to Green Bay Packers. Also a nod, their head team physician, Pat McKenzie, retiring at the end of the season. One of the best in the business. There's a really nice article on Packers.com about him and his contributions. One of the best, most respected head team physicians who will step down at the end of this year. But I thought Christian Watson, given his injury history, I was a little nervous about how quickly he was coming back because of the history, the hamstring issues, but I'm sure that was all incorporated into his rehab, and then still like managed to look explosive when he did come back.
Yep.
It's great for Green Bay to have him looking so good.
Absolutely. Right now, they needed him at this time. Let's talk about some duds, unfortunately, because there were a handful of them in Week 17. If you relied on any Steelers running backs like I did in a league, it just didn't work out this week.
It was sad.
It was a weird game. And I know that Myles Garrett and a bunch of people had this, thought afterwards where it was like, were the offense like more worried about stopping Myles Garrett than they were about playing offense, actually? I don't know if you can actually quantify that, but the offense did not look good.
I have a theory.
Tell me.
I think when you're playing the Browns, in general, the idea is get the ball quick.
Yes, always.
Like whether you're trying to prevent the sack record or not, like we've seen Myles Garrett had 5 sacks in a game this year. Like he's the best defensive player.
He's still scary, and if you're Aaron Rodgers, you don't want to get hit by that.
Absolutely.
Bottom line.
I don't know how to put. Like I said, I don't know how quantifiable it is. I can imagine.
There's also DK Metcalf.
The Steelers
on
definitely, but the Steelers do not want to give up the sack record in their house when they have the guy still playing on their squad that is tied for the sack record right now in TJ Watt.
But I do feel like this is. I think the Steelers would trade Myles Garrett having the sack record
for a win
and punching their playoff ticket.
They should have played better football then.
What I'm saying is that like You can allow Myles Garrett to get the sack record. If you're like really trying to just like prevent the sack record, I don't think that you would do that at the cost of winning a game.
I agree.
Which is what happened.
It's a fun narrative.
Lost the game, but yes, the Steelers running backs both were bad yesterday. Even Kenny G had under 7 fantasy points. He'd been so money for so long that it was just not great.
No.
We had a conversation on Friday, Daniel, about fading players in the Eagles-Bills game, and it was like, man, it's really hard to actually pull the trigger on those decisions, right? Are you going to actually sit somebody? We gave some buyer beware on both of the quarterbacks. We said these are 2 of the 6 stingiest defenses. But can you really sit Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts? You should have sat Jalen Hurts is what it turned out. Hurts was held under 9 fantasy points. The Eagles have now won 2 games this year in which they didn't complete a pass in the second half.
That's unbelievable.
Now, this is not the Patriots going up, whatever it was, 35-3 at halftime yesterday, and literally taking knees, not literally, but basically taking knees to get them into the end or to the end of the game. Like, this game was highly competitive. It was the Bills scored with seconds to go. Went for 2 to win the game.
And
for Philadelphia,
it was exciting.
It was an incredible game, very dramatic there.
But most of your studs did not show up.
No.
Correct. I mean, Jalen Hurts had 5 rushing yards yesterday. The rushing really dropped off for Jalen Hurts. And just a disappointing season for this Eagles offense, even though I have to say, like, I admire so much that they find ways to win. It's like, sorry, Daniel, to invoke this.
Go ahead.
Like, the Lions are a reminder. Like, winning is hard in the NFL.
Yes.
It's really hard to do it each and every year. Philly's got 4 straight seasons with at least 11 wins. 2 of those have been 14-win seasons. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in the past 4 years. Like, they find ways. Yesterday, it just didn't include offensive production for Jalen Hurts.
It wasn't just Jalen Hurts, by the way. Saquon Barkley was not good either. 19 carries for 68 yards and another game. Second game in a row with just no receiving work at all.
None.
6.8 fantasy points. And it wasn't just him. It was James Cook on the other side too, Stephania. Both of these running backs that you were like, you got to start them this week.
8.7 fantasy points. And we thought with the weather, we might see more of these running backs being involved. And it was just
so good.
Really
I know.
Holy crap.
What a weird game, though. It was
really
weird
was.
in that exact sense. Like, it was competitive. So the whole time you felt like this should be something, we weren't looking for the tight ends to do anything.
Yeah.
Both of them coming in for Buffalo, both of them coming in questionable. We had heard our tight end whisperer, Sal Palantonio, but Dallas Goedert, we were talking about staying away from him yesterday on the show, but Dallas Goedert ends up being
He's the
productive.
one.
He is the one. So who knew the tight ends were going to carry the day, but the running backs did not, unfortunately.
They did not.
We talked about this one on Friday, but
Jahmyr Gibbs.
I know.
It was
Sorry.
tough.
I feel like we can say it's been a hard end of the season for Jahmyr Gibbs because he has fallen off right at the time you needed him the most.
Lions offensive line has struggled in a major way just across the board. And so that really impacted both of the running backs here. But Jahmyr, everything that you had gotten to this point, he literally propelled you potentially to the playoffs with those big games he had.
That's why it feels like maybe the biggest dud of the weekend is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs was my loser, but Jacobs doesn't have the 50-point upside that Jahmyr Gibbs does.
Correct.
So it's one of those where it feels like you could have won or lost your matchup if Gibbs goes nuts, and you probably lost your matchup with Jahmyr.
Second game in 3 weeks with single-digit fantasy points after being so reliable.
He's so talented.
And that's the thing. It's just it hurts being able to watch that. Yep. Also hurts watching Bad McDonkey only have 4.1 fantasy points.
Why do you guys say that?
It's not us. We just follow the lead of our our king, Mike Clay.
It's Mike Clay. That's his name. But
what a weird year, man.
Dude,
I know.
And Quentin Johnston was the one that you should have started if you were going to start a Chargers. I'm also done trying to pick Chargers wide receivers.
I think we can put it. I think we can say. I believe this now. At the beginning of the season, we had the conversation. It went kind of viral about, hey, which Chargers receiver do you want the most? And we had Quentin Johnston first, and then we kind of wrestled Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey. I think in retrospect, the answer was clearly Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
Now, the other answer is that it's not like any of those guys were unbelievable for the entirety of the year, but so many of the naysayers were, hey, Water's going to find his level with Ladd. He's going to ball out. No, he's not. He had a couple of good games for sure, but he also had a lot of vaporizing games like Saturday afternoon.
Unfortunately.
I'm not going to know what to do with this Chargers wide receiver core next year.
Yeah.
I think
Keenan
it's
Allen's still playing. That maybe
they're very inconsistent. I mean, even though Quentin Johnston emerged at the top, he had really bad weeks.
We didn't really.
So it wasn't like there was somebody where you're like, I know every week this guy's going to be productive.
Yeah. We didn't really see the second-round rookie Trey Harris a ton either. I wonder if he starts factoring into the offense a little bit more or how that works out in the offseason. But let's talk about Tedero McMillan.
You think Jim Harbaugh will give us a clue next year?
Doubt it. He's not a prognosticator.
Trey is...
I want to punch you.
Trey is in the locker room, and Trey is working hard.
Yeah.
I tell you, this guy loves football. He loves football, man. Justin Herbert, you watch it? That was a Picasso.
Like a bird. It's a chicken.
Picasso.
I hate you both. I don't like either one of you right now.
Picasso.
Go spend a day at training camp, I dare you.
Please no. Tedero McMillan had 1.5 fantasy points. Now, here's the thing. We knew coming into the game he had a sickness. He was ill.
Yeah.
Right? But we still thought that this was going to be a game in which you could play him.
Hard.
And this was...
I felt bad.
Did Mike Clay put out a tweet that said there was only one Panthers wide receiver with more than 9 receiving yards, and it was Jalen Coker with 15?
Probably, yeah. I mean, Bryce Young had 54 passing yards.
So that's not good.
It was
Man, I tell you.
weird.
Yeah, so T-Mac duds.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, you mentioned him. He duds as well. I think Bryce Young might be one of the most intriguing quarterback decisions to make of the upcoming season.
Intriguing is one way to put it.
Yeah.
So Carolina still has a chance to win the division by that.
Yeah, they do. I know that division.
Yes.
That division needs to take a good look in the mirror.
Also, how
do you deserve to send someone to the playoffs when you've got 3 teams that are like 11-3 or 4 or 12-3 or 4 in one division, and then that division gets to send someone as the winner of the winner?
Yeah.
What's ironic is that there is a world in which 8-9 is still a good enough record. Like even if they didn't have a division winner, so Tampa Bay could go 8-9. Dallas could lose, could be 7-9-1. Minnesota could lose, they could be 8-9. The Lions
Detroit
would
could
be
lose.
8-9.
Yep.
So it's like we've had prior years where it's like the 8-9 team gets in and the 9-7 or the 10-6 team does not get in. This is just a funky year for an otherwise dominant NFC.
You know what's tough for me is thinking about this Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation where we were talking about Emeka Egbuka and Tedero McMillan, and the recency bias of how they've both played down the stretch has just been really difficult. There doesn't feel like this year, like there have been in years past, just that clear, dominant number one fantasy rookie that is the clear Rookie of the Year.
Yep, I think we'll have an interesting conversation on that one there, and even in real life as well. I think Tyler Shuck probably is going to end up. He's got a real chance to
For the
win that
real life.
now.
Yeah.
But it's a weird year.
Let's talk about Monday Night Football.
Let's do it.
Let's dive in that. It's going to be a really fun game. In theory, let's hope it happens. Rams and the Falcons. We got a bunch of huge ones in this game. Matthew Stafford's, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, even Blake Corum you could potentially have in your lineup. On the other side, you got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Probably not Kirk Cousins, but the first 3, definitely you are probably starting here.
Do you guys have anything on the line or not?
I just wanted to mention about Drake London because he is not fully healthy, even though he's expected to play. Again, I go back to these receivers. You can look at the list, receivers or whether wide receiver or tight end who've had PCL injuries and are not themselves.
Yep.
I mean, even Ricky Pearsall playing last night, he played, then he left and he was uncomfortable. I wasn't sure he was going to come back in the game. Comes back in the game and toughs through it, but they are, quote, managing the injury. Brock Bowers placed on IR after coming back to play, managing the injury. Yeah. Drake London's been out because of the PCL. He came back last week and played, but he's still, we talked yesterday about, is it more effective Kirk Cousins or is it just the injury itself? It's probably a combination of both. That doesn't help him, but I'm just not sure I'm expecting a ton out of Drake London tonight.
Well, I have a huge Monday Night Football sweat because in our big dynasty league, Mike Clay is
Let's
up
talk through it.
33 fantasy points.
Up 33.
He's up 33.
And he's got Puka Nacua.
Okay.
So I'm going to
good.
expect
So you're
25 fantasy points.
Okay.
I've got...
that's half PPR. 25
that's
and
a
half
lot in
PPR
half.
would be gigantic.
Yeah. So maybe say 20. Let's say 20. So I need at least 55 fantasy points.
Okay. Who do you have?
I have Matthew Stafford,
Okay.
Bijan Robinson,
Okay.
and Drake London.
It's possible. That's a good competitive outing.
Yes, that's why Mike and I were texting back and forth. The sweat is going to be real for us because at least there's a lot on the line for that. So I need
Any
that.
other championships in the balance?
The other ones I believe I've got everybody that's already played. Tristan H. Cockcroft has Drake London, but I'm up by enough points that I don't think, unless Drake London puts up 40 points, I think it won't be a thing.
So we need London to go under 40. Eddie, for you, we're sweating tonight?
I'm still live in one of Pulsifer's guillotine
Oh,
leagues.
nice.
And, I don't know exactly. It's one of those where I haven't looked because I don't want to find out I'm out.
That's fair. That checks out.
And you know how you do
I'll
like
give you
you don't
my
want to
three
look.
championships.
Let's see. I have. I got a lot from McCaffrey. I have Kyron Williams playing and the Rams defense playing tonight. So,
Okay.
Let's just say I need a lot of points because I had Bucky Irving and a few other duds.
Okay.
All right. I've got 3 championships, all still in the balance here tonight. Maybe one, not so much. I need Matthew Stafford to score under 99.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'm going to go out on a limb. He's been really good, but I don't think so.
Okay, so under 99. We feel good there.
I'll take 97. I'm
Yeah, not a point over.
I need Puka and Kyron to combine for over 11.
Okay.
So,
Well, yes, it
Feel
can
good
be
there.
all
Yeah, that feels
Kyron
good.
as far as I'm concerned, but yes.
and then in the last one, this is where things get a little hairy. Bijan and Kyron to score under 30.12.
Combined.
Yeah.
Sorry.
30.1.
right?
Yikes.
No.
So I feel good about 2 out of 3.
I never like
don't feel
going with
great about the
unders
odds of
either
a sleep.
because it's
Oh, my
like,
God.
it's so counterintuitive, that especially when it's players like that. Anything could happen. The
Yeah, of
Rams,
course.
Absolutely.
If you're the Rams defense, who are you going after? You're going to try and shut down Bijan.
Yeah, easier said than done. Now I'm so anyways, we're fate. I don't feel great. I feel good about 2 out of 3. I don't feel as good about
I'm really hoping, just for all fantasy managers everywhere, that we get a similar Monday Night Football game to the game that we just had on Sunday night.
God.
Just
can't-
make it fun, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun, but it can't be that good. That was amazing.
It
That
was amazing,
ridiculous.
but I
That
just wanna
was down
speak
to
it
the
into
final play.
existence.
I know.
By the way, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, reminder, Devontae Adams. So I'm kind of curious as to who is the beneficiary besides Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. Like, who else shines for the Rams? We thought for a while with all their 13 personnel that we had a chance with tight ends to be the big stars, and they were catching a lot of passes at one point. But who do we think it is for the Rams that steps up as a pass catcher?
That's a great question. I don't want it to be Puka Nacua. I'm going to be honest. Anyone other than him is fine with me.
18.
Have you guys?
great about the fact that Bijan has 29.5 in 3 of his past 4 games.
I feel really good about that.
Great. Okay.
I want more of it.
By the way, if you guys are compelled,
people have.
Monday Night Football playbook returns for the second week. this
Yes.
season.
Phil.
Way to go, Phil, with your friends Luke Kuechly and Dan Orlovsky.
Yes, they dragged me throughout this broadcast, but
No way.
it's really cool. We had a
was
great time
awesome.
last week. Thank you very much for checking it out,
Dude,
tell you what, that is a lot of
all the
football
numbers on the screen
Yeah.
too, being able to see everything. Like, you guys talk through all the different, like, watching once a play happens and then Luke just jumps in. Luke and Dan both are so good at this, but they're just like, all right, now watch this guy. He does this. Like, they're so unbelievably good at
Yeah, I miss Luke playing football. He's
he was
such
great. He was
a
great.
great player. So fun to watch,
In
man.
my brief interactions with him, we've spent a couple days here together. Like, off the charts guy. He
really friendly, super nice.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on ESPN2 and the app for those that have or ESPN Plus. Did you guys know that Luke is on the coaching staff at Charlotte Christian Middle School?
I did not. Oh boy, if I were a middle schooler,
How
I'd
about
be
this?
listening to him.
Here's the coaching staff. Head coach,
Greg Olson.
Greg Olson.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Assistant coach, Greg Olson's dad, who's considered one of the greatest high school football coaches ever. Also on the staff, Luke Kuechly, a legitimate Pro Football Hall of Fame candidate.
That's
And for
amazing.
those that watched the game on Saturday night, they know, many people probably know him as a broadcaster. He's a very accomplished and excellent broadcaster. Todd Blackledge,
Yeah.
who was an amazing quarterback back in the day as well. So Todd Blackledge.
So is this
and Luke
middle
Kuechly-
school like undefeated and
They
like
should be.
just dominating all of North, the
Yes, but,
Charlotte area?
100% they are. But what I think is very cool, if you follow any of Greg is especially good about sharing some of his.
He posts a lot of clips.
And I think that they are really trying to cultivate good young players, good young people, not just good young players, right?
Love
They're
that.
very dedicated to the players on the team. It's very, very cool. So
Greg Olson from?
The U?
The U. That's right.
That one I knew. That one I definitely knew. Have you guys, before we're going to go to questions here really quickly, have you done the sicko thing where you're like, I'm in third place and I just want to check in to see if my third place team would have beat either of the teams in the finals?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. Are you kidding me?
And
I did that and I'm so mad because I would have beat both the teams in the finals that I am in third place for. I'm so upset about it.
I hate when my team shows up the week
the
after
week
they
after.
have not shown up. I got kicked out of 3 finals last week. Because I have a lot of the investment in the same players, right?
Correct.
So if you
Correct.
failed me in one league, probably. And then to see them.
It's like, I didn't need you to do it this week. I wanted you to do it last week.
I know, they did not understand.
That's how fantasy
the assignment.
football works, unfortunately. All right, let's take some questions from our YouTube chat. Get to what they want. Give the people what they want.
I want to hear some dilemmas.
This one comes from Caleb
go.
Bajan and Pitts versus Kyron, and he's down by 10.
I like your odds.
Caleb, I feel good there.
Yeah, if
Caleb
you're
Ciceroa.
Bijan and Pitts.
Yes.
You've got
Yep.
the edge.
I feel good there.
for
Did
sure.
you know that Kyle Pitts is the second highest scoring tight end
Yes.
in
I
the season
did.
this year?
And it's so, I feel like it's a deliberate troll on me.
The year you're out, all of a sudden you're back in.
I know.
It's tough. Are we all back in on Kyle Pitts now for next year? That's going to be a
something-
conversation.
He's
I'm
hung
gonna
around
wait.
my dynasty league, even though I tried to get rid of it. Remember all that?
I do.
did
Free
not
agent.
want any
Yeah.
part of it.
It'll be a lot. We'll talk about it. It'll be a fun conversation for 2026, figuring out where
Is
we
that
have
one of
Kyle
those
Pitts.
you can not be too late, just too,
Too early? Yeah,
like
that's-
late, only
7
early.
years
That's right.
too early.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next question from our YouTube chat. This one comes from O Salvador. I'm up 16 and I have Puka and I'm playing against Kyron. Up 16 with Puka against Kyron?
I think you're good.
I think so too.
you probably
I think you're
need, like, I
good.
feel like worst case scenario for you for Puka is like 10.
Yeah.
So you need, like,
26.
you think Kyron's going to get 26, Puka's going to get 10?
Wow.
Yeah, like 5 catches for Puka is so normal.
And
so
I don't think 26 is in the bag for Kyron with the way that they're running both him and Blake Corum. Like the idea that it's just all Kyron has not been what it's been in that backfield for the last 6 weeks. So I think I would feel good if I were you there. All right. Another question from our YouTube chat. This one comes from
ooh.
Aller. Aller, is that what it is?
London.
Yeah, Aller. I need London to outscore the Rams defense by 10. Stephania, you already told us to maybe pump the brakes on what we thought the expectations for Drake
and the
London
Rams
is.
defense,
That's a tough
the
one.
Rams defense could have a night.
Rams are going to start with 10 too. As soon as the game starts, they get that big jump,
I know,
right?
and the Rams defense has played really, really well
So
at
good.
times,
Yeah,
and
they're
I think this is a great opportunity for them. I'm sorry, but
I have a question. Is Mai from the chat in any championships or no? Does Mai have
I
any
wonder if Mai has any
questions?
questions out there. That's a great question. Let's get to a few more. Let's see who else we have out there. Would have been hilarious if this question was from Mai. Avo Stam wants to know, Kyron Williams need to score 55 points for my Monday Night Miracle for me to
Well-
win by 1 point.
You know something?
Kyron-
It's possible.
we just gave encouragement to the person who needed to beat Kyron.
Yeah.
But also you could win.
You never know.
Alternate universes.
There's
one
been-
world where Kyron does really well.
I'll tell
and
you
one
what.
where he doesn't.
A running back has scored 55 fantasy points in a game this season. It has happened.
Yes,
Amir
we
Gibbs
do.
did.
Amir Gibbs
yeah.
did it. So maybe Kyron Williams could have that in the bag for you, hopefully.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Any more? Let's see if we have any more questions here. This one comes from FYE.
Yeah.
Harold Phantom Breakout Player of the Year for me. The dude has been unbelievable. Is he going to be in the Rookie of the Year conversation for us in fantasy, you think?
I think so.
Yeah, probably in the
think so.
conversation.
We got to
you know?
vote soon.
Yeah, we're going to have a vote. That'll be very fun to be able to do our Friday show for that. Wednesday show is going to be a way too early look ahead for 2026 as
Oh,
well and do some fun
Friday,
stuff
yeah.
there. So Friday will be fun to make sure you check back and know what all of the hardware
Lot
we're
of
going to give out
awards.
is. Aaron Martin with our last question says, I'm going to win my league this year. A large part of that is because of
Aaron.
you guys. And I just want to say thank you for all the data, analysis, and facts or feelings.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that, Aaron.
Aaron, we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
That's so cool to hear, man. You know, like probably 98% of what you see on social media is people telling you that they hate you and they want to go kick your dog. So it's nice to hear from someone like Aaron who appreciates the effort that we put into this dream job that we have.
It's true. It's true. And honestly, we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you guys hanging out with us and coming back every single week. So we love being able to hear the success stories that you have, as much as we also hope to have success stories ourselves.
Yes, and we're fans and fantasy players
We're just like you
you
guys. Absolutely.
Just like us.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Have so much fun watching Monday Night Football. We'll be back on Wednesday and Friday. Today's show was presented by Wingstop. Don't forget to love each other and be kind to yourself. You deserve it. We love you guys. Thank you so much for an awesome season. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Respectfully, go to.
6010.